G'day guys, welcome back to another vid. In this one, we're going to be doing a follow-on from our lithium versus lead acid experiment and showing you what we're doing with our lead acid battery and why we're going the way we are. As always guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and leave this video a like if you get anything out of this that you can use or if you get any value out of it. Alright guys, let's get straight into it. Alright guys, so we'll just quickly start off and we'll talk about our old lead acid battery. So it's an old supercharged all-rounder 120 amp hour flooded lead acid deep cycle and starting battery. So it was a dual purpose flooded lead acid battery. Now we had this battery for about, I reckon about 6 years. So it's lasted a fairly long time. These things are only supposed to last around 5 years. So it's done its job in my opinion. All right, so why are we changing this battery? Basically, if you haven't already had a look at it, we did a test a few months ago of our new iTech World 120X lithium battery up against the 120 amp all-rounder deep cycle lead acid battery. If you haven't already had a look at that, check it out, I'll link it up here. But basically, long story short, that test completely cooked this battery. Now, I knew going into that test that that was a definite possibility. I know from experience that taking a lead acid battery down below 50% is one, not ideal, not healthy for the battery, and you run the very real risk of damaging or destroying your battery, which I've done right now. I tried everything that I could possibly think of to get this battery back up and working again, to restore it. It's just been too late and it's dropped a cell. So straight away it started measuring at 10 volts, then 9, then 8, and yeah, then it was just too far gone to save. I still would recommend this battery. This has been awesome. It's probably close to 7 years we've had this battery, and until that test it had not missed a beat, so still a really good product. So let's have a quick look at what we're replacing it with and why we've gone the way we have. Right guys, so as you can probably guess, we've gone for another flooded lead acid battery. And there's a couple of reasons why we have. First off, flooded lead acids, they're a proven technology. They might not be the best, they might not be the fanciest, but they are proven, especially when it comes to using these things under your bonnet. That's one reason that we did go for the lead acid. Second, we were still very impressed with the old one. The old one did everything we needed it to do. The old supercharge still did its job up until that test. It was traveling along really well. It charged everything we ever needed it to charge. It ran the fridge for a couple of days without too much hassle at all, and obviously it charged up really well off our Ridge Rider solar panel as well. We haven't gone supercharge and we haven't gone 120 amp hour. We've gone a Sentry N70T, and it's 102 amp hour. Another reason we haven't sprung for, say, a lithium, especially under bonnet, is we just don't know how good they go. I know a lot of battery companies out there say that their lithiums are great to have under your bonnet. They're safe, no dramas, they're not going to cook themselves, they're not going to fry or anything like that. But I'm just not 100% confident. I'm sure they're fine, but I'm just not totally confident in splurging out nearly $1,000 for a new battery when it's just not totally proven whether these things can handle the heat under there as well. I'll give a little bit of a plug to Dino from Efficient Self. He does have 120 amp hour lithium, I'm pretty sure it's an iTech World battery, and they designed it for specifically under bonnet use. So I am following that fella Dino over at Efficient Self. I'll link his channel down below as well. He does some pretty cool stuff over there. So yeah, if you want to follow along with his test of his under bonnet lithium, definitely go and give him a subscribe and check him out as well. But there's a couple of reasons, guys, that we haven't gone with a lithium or even an AGM. Another pretty good reason, guys, that we went with this over the other styles of battery is the price. So if you go for a lithium battery or even an AGM, you're looking at upwards for AGM of maybe $400 to $500 potentially for a really good, for a good, reliable and Aussie made brand. Lithium, even more, you're looking at closer to $1,000 This flooded lead acid is a Century battery, so Aussie made product, very high quality. It was 270 bucks. Anyway, let me know what you think. Should I have gone lithium? Should I have gone AGM? So far we're really happy with the flooded lead acid, but yeah, let us know in the comments below what you think about our choice of battery. Right guys, so another big reason that we chose to go flooded lead acid again was the way that we charge our batteries. So if you've upgraded to lithium in the past, or you've upgraded your battery or changed the way that you supply your power, you know that some batteries need different charge profiles, and we didn't want to go through the hassle of changing our DC-DC charger, our solar controller, anything that we would have had to buy extra apart from the battery. We didn't want to have the hassle of that. I know that a lot of lithiums advertise that they're drop-in, drop-out replacements, but when it comes to a $1,000 battery, you don't want to take the risk, do you? So anyway, I'll spin you around. We'll have a quick look at how we charge this battery, because I didn't really go into it last 12 volt video, but you can have a look at our charging setup. All right, let's have a look. Right guys, so depending on when this gets uploaded, a couple of these things might have changed, because I'm changing a couple of little bits and pieces this weekend. So our DC-DC charger is, you might be able to see that down there, it's a Ridge Rider cheapo 20 amp DC-DC charger from Supercheap Auto. I think this one cost us about 180 bucks. And funnily enough, this thing has not once let me down. It has been an absolute pearl of a unit. Straight after that, we have got our cheap ass 15 amp PWM charger, solar charge controller, sorry, from Kings. I bought, you might remember, if you follow us on Instagram, I bought an old $800 trailer and chucked a 110 watt solar panel up on that. This is the controller that came with it, and it's just been sitting in the shed doing absolutely nothing, so I thought I'll chuck that one on as well. Yes, I know I've got cable ties holding everything down. I want this thing to be portable, so if I ever sell the Prado, I can take this thing straight out and not leave holes all through it. Straight over to the battery. So obviously just one supply cable over, and our cheap ass eBay battery monitor. So this is a battery monitor BM2. That's what it says on it, so I guess that's the brand. But I think this only cost me about 18 bucks, and it's a pearler of a little unit. It breaks down nearly everything you need to know. It's got your voltage. You kind of just have to trust your DC-DC charger or your solar input and trust that your calculations are right. This doesn't actually show your charge current, it just shows your voltage, which is still fine. You get a pretty good idea for a lead acid battery just on voltages alone. So straight after this, we've got this wired onto a 40 amp circuit breaker in behind here, trip and back on, and that is just supplying our 12 volt system to the back of the Prado. So it's a really, really basic charging system, guys, but it works. It does everything we need it to do. It keeps our phones, our iPads, computers, everything that we need charged. It keeps it nice, fully charged, and it's easy to charge. A couple of hours driving around, even if we're down around 70%, 60% even, a couple of hours in the car and she's back up to 100%. Right guys, so I thought I'd just swing you back around to the back end of the Prado and show you the little charging station that I've set up. So I done this myself over about 4 hours after getting all the gear together. I am a Sparky by trade, so if you don't know what you're doing, don't go ahead and start wiring things in the back of your car, and you don't know how to protect your cables, don't go ahead and do this, but I'll give you a bit of a look at how I've set this up. So you've seen how the Prado charges the secondary battery. DC-DC charger, solar input to the battery, and then one cable going straight to the back of the Prado to its little charging station I've got back here. Obviously, if you don't know how to wire these things up, guys, don't go ahead and start trying. Take it to an auto Sparky and get it done properly. If you don't protect your cables right, you run the very real risk of burning out cables and damaging your vehicle. Not to mention your battery and everything else. But I'll show you how I've set this one up. I am a Sparky by trade. And I do know what I'm doing with this sort of stuff, but I'll give you a bit of a look. Right guys, so this is how I've set it up. We don't need too much in the back of the Prado. We only need, I've got 4 dual USB outlets. So there's 2 here, 2 here. 1 SIG outlet, we barely use that. And 1 Anderson plug. Anderson plug we use obviously only for the fridge when we've got it in here, usually usually if we're just day tripping, but that's about it, so it doesn't really get much of a use. Our dual USBs we obviously use for our phones, iPads, laptop now. We've just upgraded our laptop, so that's luckily enough it's USB charged. And our SIG outlet down here, the only time that gets a use is if we're camping and we don't have the trailer when we're running our lights. That's about it. So that doesn't really get much of a use at all. Alright guys, I'll run you through the protection for each of our little outlets here. Each of our USB outlets, so each dual USB is run off a 10 amp fuse, and I've mounted a fuse block in behind this panel. So we've only ever pulled a maximum of 5 amps out of these dual USB outlets. So that's absolute maximum is 5 amps. That's as much as I could possibly pull out of them. But it's protected by a 10 amp fuse. Obviously the cable we've used is rated for 20 amps and we've protected it with a 10 amp fuse. Our cigarette outlet here we've protected with a 15 amp fuse, only because our lights that we run when we are camping without a trailer draw a maximum of 9.5 amps, and with a 10 amp fuse you're sort of right on the cusp of tripping it, so we upped that to 15 amps. Again, we've used cable that is more than capable of handling 15 amps. It can handle 20 amps and we protect it with 15 amps, a 15 amp fuse. And our Anderson plug over here, obviously we've had to use a little bit thicker cable for that. We've used 6mm cable again, so good for 50 amps, but it's only really ever going to be running our fridge, which draws 7 amps. But yeah guys, that's pretty much our 12 volt system for the Prado in a nutshell. It's a very, very basic and simple design, but it works. It charges everything we need it to charge. It runs everything we need it to run. Our fridges, our phones, our iPads, our laptop, camera batteries, that sort of thing. We've also got the 150 watt inverter that comes standard with the Prado, and that's good for all our 240 stuff. So our tool batteries, our camera batteries, drone batteries. It's a very, very simple and basic setup, but it does everything we need it to do. So yeah, let me know guys, let me know what you think about our little setup. Let me know what you think about us going lead acid again, and let us know what you run in yours. If you've got a Prado or if you've got a wagon, any setup, if you've got a ute, let me know what your setup is and why you chose it. Righto guys, hope you liked that video on our little Prado 12 volt setup, what gear we use, why we use it. Obviously guys, if you like this video, leave us a big like down there, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're always doing little reviews like this and checking out new gear in the camping world. Obviously guys, next trip we go on, we will be taking you guys along with us, so stay tuned for that one too. Okay, bye-bye. Get out and back guys, and we'll see you in the next one.